Warning, the health coaching industry is changing, and what worked 5 years ago or even 2 years ago is now causing online coaches to lose all of their clients and close their business. Now, I'm sure you've seen the over reliance on things like ads that are expensive and they're no longer converting like they used to. You've probably also seen the free seminars and webinars that are really oversaturated because people are just tuned out. So, coming into 2025, if you're an online coach stuck using outdated tactics, you're not just losing money, you're losing trust, authority, and potentially your high value clients to other coaches. So the question becomes, how do you fix this? How do you stay ahead and stand ahead taller than the rest of every Control V coach that is out there? Well, in this episode, I'm going to show you what's not working anymore and what I call attraction-based marketing, which I believe is the future for a sustainable high-value coaching business in 2025. Hey everyone, I'm Andrew Costa, the Green Sheet Business Coach who helps online coaches and fitness coaches build sustainable multi-six-figure businesses. And my signature methods like the 100K Gateway and the Revenue Runway are all about ditching the copy and paste and the done-for-you scripts so you can actually build your own unique coaching movement and attract the clients that you deserve. Now, before we dive into what's not working anymore for 2025, I just want to share with you some interesting stats to show that there's going to be a shift in what I call the pros versus the part-timers in the industry. So these health coaching pros, they're going to push out the rest of all of the other passionate coaches who are just choosing to dabble in growing a business. And I can see that coming sooner than predicted. So here's what I found with stats from the ICF. That's the International Coaching Federation, PS. This is basically one of the largest federations globally for coaching. It's pretty common that people pull together stats and have other sources of information coming in because health coaching as an industry is growing really big. And so it's important to understand what the trends are. So I'm a big trend guy, so I'm always looking at stuff. So the ICF has basically shared that only a handful of people out there are actually seven-figure coaching businesses. So despite all the seven-figure coaches out there, only a whopping 1% of coaches are hitting 100. So think about that for a second. It takes a significant amount of teamwork, strategy, having a really good offer suite, having a proper gateway, revenue runway inside of your business in order for you to make steady, reoccurring 100K months. So unless you're someone that is selling like a 30K package where you're getting 3 people a month and that covers, the average coach is charging anywhere from about $1,500 a month to $2,200 a month. And so they're going to need more than 2 or 3 clients to be able to hit 100K reoccurring months. This is why it's really important to build and stack your reoccurring revenue, but that's kind of for a different episode. A whopping 1% of these coaches are hitting 100K months. So what about the rest of everyone else? Okay. Only 2.4% of coaches actually make 50K and above monthly. So 50K seems to be kind of where this high level of transformation comes, where you change your offer suite into something that becomes a movement or a brand. This is where people are falling in love with you for who you are as a coach, the type of service that you provide in your community versus actually what's inside of your program. And then as you go down, it's actually less than 12% of coaches that are making 10K a month or more. And that's wild to me, because that's not a hard number to hit. So that means that 76% of coaches are making less than 5K a month. So just think about that for a second. Now, I saw this number in the ICF and I was in shock, but honestly, I wasn't in disbelief. I can see a lot of coaches now, especially on Instagram, promoting quick fix solutions or cheap copy paste challenges, especially the 6-week challenge. Drives me crazy because it worked for their last guru. Here's the thing though, ironically, even with very few people making a significant amount of money, the coaching industry is actually growing. Coaching as a whole in health was estimated to be a $15 billion business in 2019, and now it's set to hit close to $30 billion by the end of 2025. Again, this is according to the ICF. So even though coaches are getting pushed out of the market faster than freaking Costco's bringing in bulk goods, this is good news for you actually. This means that the people that are being pushed out, they're leaving space for you. And also, it's good news because the people you work with have big problems that need solving and they need you. And you can be the 12%. Heck, you can even be the 1% that shows up and that starts to build a movement and a brand around your community. Now, the question really is this. Are you the online fit pro? Are you the online health coach who's willing to put in the work to attract them and to build a relationship with them? Because it really is about relationship building now, and this comes down to my attraction-based marketing piece I'll share later. So I'll let that question kind of linger for a moment so that way I can dive into what doesn't work. I want to break down all of the things that is not going to work for you in 2025, and let me give a precursor to this. It does not mean that these things don't work. It's in my experience, especially on your way to building even to like your first 50K month, these things take a lot of trial and error to do. And unless you're someone that has a very large ad budget or you have a significant amount of time to apply to these things, or you're someone who's already an established coach with an established following, these are not going to work for 95% of the people in this industry. You have to change and you have to pivot. So first, we're going to go into ads. Okay, I would call this the ads problem. Ads is one of the things that a lot of people try to go to first when either they're struggling to create a community or to create a following around their social media, or where they're getting a lot of leads, but they're not getting the right leads. So they're like, screw it, I'm just going to hire an ads company and I'm going to run ads. The problem with running ads, number one, is the high competition and the costs. Let's be real, everyone is running ads. Facebook makes ads very available where you can do a cost per click, where you can do even like a certain cap every single day, $50 a day, $30 a day. And so just like you are running ads and trying to compete with the same visibility, the algorithm is also working for other health coaching and fitness pros, trying to attract those same people, which means that you're always in an internal competition. Because of that, it's driving up the cost per lead. The cost per lead for health coaches like 5 years ago used to be anywhere from like 30 to 60 cents a click. Now we're talking about $6 to $7 a click, and some people are paying upwards of $20 to $30. Now you're probably thinking, well, that's okay, because if that $30 click becomes like a $3,000 client, that's fine. But the question becomes, how many of those clicks are you getting? And over a 60 or 90-day marketing window, are you actually being profitable on your ads, or are you just being break even and paying the marketing machine? So because it's driving up the cost per lead these days, it's really making ads unsustainable, because unless you have a marketing budget of $2,000 or above, you cannot compete with less than a $40 or $50 a day. It just doesn't work. I've spent a lot of money trying ads, and we still use ads to help bring in our funnels, but we've opted to now slowly transition away from different systems, because as someone who's worked with over 4,400 clients in the health coaching space, I'll say a lot of the ad quality is also trying to build trust with people. And that leads to the second thing, which is low trust. Ads now, people have become hyper conditioned and they feel really transactional. So modern clients these days want relationships and value first. They do not want you to pitch them. And every ad has become a pitch. I'm sure you see a lot of health coaching ads, something classic like the 6-week challenge, where it's the same 8 ads. It's the 21-day transformation challenge. It's the 6-week challenge. It's the 12-week transformation. It might be something like a $7 trial or a start today for $1 down. And all of these feel incredibly transactional. They're not actually offering any value up front. And so people are like, this is an ad. I'm tired of being sold. And so they scroll past it. And for the people who do actually click the ad, they're expecting something free. They're expecting something high value first because they don't have any trust in you. And so that's why the ads won't work. And then on top of that, you're going to add in the problem with ads, which is algorithm dependency. So relying on platforms like Facebook and Instagram means that you are effectively at their mercy. So every time the algorithm changes, your leads dry up. And this means that your ads are always going to be changing. And while it's good to always change your offer and change what works, you're always going to be fighting the algorithm for you to get eyes on your brand versus getting eyes on your brand in a better way and leads that are actually yours. Because that's another thing. If you get banned on Facebook, you can't run ads. If you get reported for a certain ad thing, then your ads get on pause for a little bit. And that just means that you're going to have inconsistent lead flow. So ads for me is something where if you're making that 50 to 100K months inside of your business, yeah, it's always good to have a steady campaign going, but it's not something that you can rely on day to day because there's a low level of trust, a low level of value that's up front, and people now just want to feel connected to the person they're talking to. They don't want to feel like they're being pitched all the freaking time. Which then leads me to kind of the second thing, which is like the free seminar and the webinar problem. Free seminars and webinars has a huge level of first problem, which is oversaturation. Everyone is hosting something that is free now. The market is flooded. So truthfully, people expect to pitch when they go to a free seminar, or half the time they tune out and they don't show up. So in my experience, we were doing all of these free seminars and we had a lot of clients in the Coach to Coach program who were like, we keep on doing these webinars and stuff, but we're not getting the right leads. The people don't show up. There's a large level of absence. And this is where the quality of free becomes something where you need to look at your high value client and say to yourself, well, does my high value client want free? Because I know in our experience, all of our business owners inside of Coach to Coach, they're not looking to join a free seminar and learn this really low level crap. They want to work with someone in a high level who's ready to fire them up, ready to get into their business, do a deep dive with them so then they can take off. So a lot of the times when you do a free webinar, you're effectively attracting tire kickers or people who aren't really serious, or they're expecting a pitch. So they're like, oh, you know what, I'll watch the replay on my own time. And then they just never do. Even something like having a $7 price point or a $27 price point is enough to weed 95% of the people out there. But in reality, that's kind of the biggest issue. Now, another issue with kind of the seminars and webinars is there's a low commitment. Alongside free, something of $7 or $27, it really attracts people looking for quick fixes, not serious or high value clients. A high value client, think about this, the person who's going to pay you $1,000 a month or $3,500 or $4K for a transformation program, they're not looking for some small tweak or a portion of the solution that's going to get them thinking more. They're looking for someone to fully transform them. They've done the small quick fixes. They've tried the diets. They've worked with other professionals who have promised them really free, low-cost stuff, and that hasn't worked for them. And so for them to make another low commitment, they're just not going to be serious. So a high-value client is never going to attend those things because truthfully, they're like, no, I know who I'm looking for. I'm looking for the person who is going to work with me at a really high level and who I'm going to be able to go all in with. So if you want to attract those serious high value clients, the low commitment of free or like anything under $99 is just not going to be serious for people. Another thing too with the free seminars and the webinars is usually there's a wrong positioning. So what I mean by wrong positioning is like high level clients don't respond to low ticket or overly generic sales strategies anymore. They want positioning that is specific for them. So I know how I buy as a coach. And when I'm looking for, like, for example, I invested into a 6-month program to help me do my first TEDx talk. So I've been speaking with a lot of companies. I go into a lot of businesses. I've run my own retreats, but I want to start working on a bigger stage. As a matter of fact, I want to be on the biggest stage. So for me, I was searching for a coach and a professional who had the right positioning to put me exactly where I wanted to be, which was on the TEDx stage. So there were a lot of people who were like, hey, we'll help you with your first talk, we'll help you create your first slideshow. And I was like, listen, this is way too generic for me. This is kind of what everybody would do if they were going to start speaking. I've already been speaking, so I want to step in to the highest level there is so I can talk on a TEDx stage. This is where I joined the 12-month program in which they were specific in saying, hey, listen, we help you vet, find, do all of the things needed and teach you the strategies so you can land and do talks on a TEDx stage. It was so specific and it was so positioned for me that I was like, this makes sense. It makes sense with my goals. It makes sense with what I'm looking to achieve. And so then I became all in and I decided to make that commitment with them for the 12 months. So when you're doing a free seminar or webinar, like most of these coaches are doing, they're doing a lot of copy and paste stuff where they're borrowing someone else's webinar. They're just kind of putting in or dropping in their own points. And then they're hoping to get a net worth of leads and then kind of vet them from there. But this generic sales strategy is actually going to turn a lot of people off. And then this is what happens where you might run a seminar or webinar, but no signups come because actually they're not really attracted with the specific message that you had. This is where if you are going to do something like a seminar or webinar, make it a live training, do it over a 3 to 4 day period, make it like an experience and be super specific with not only the topic, but the person it helps and the thing it helps. So you can really dial down into working with the right person. Now, there's a third thing that's no longer going to be working anymore in 2025. And if you're still doing this, please stop. It's just really weird at this point. It's cold DM scripts and cold calls. I cannot tell you the last cold call or cold DM I did. One, because I feel it's really gross. You don't know the person and you're just sending a message because they followed you. But also, it's not in alignment with the vision of what coaching is. As a coach, I believe that I'm working with the person who is already all in, they're fired up, they're excited to work with me, they know who I am, and they want to make a commitment to transform their lives. That is the complete polar opposite of what I am doing or experiencing, doing anything cold DM or cold reach out. I'm trying to convince someone who doesn't know who I am, who isn't familiar with my brand. I'm trying to push them to maybe hop on a consult so I can try to convince them to join a program, and they might not be ready, which means they may ultimately opt out of the program or bounce out later on. And that means I'm going to have a poor retention rate. I'm going to have poor quality people inside of my coaching. So what the hell is the point? Cold DMing is a very, very old school way that came from effectively the initial cold call, where this is reserved for more automotive people, for financial institutions, where it was like, hey, we have a service that people need anyways. Like everyone needs a car, everyone needs bookkeeping. And so if someone was interested in the past, but maybe didn't create an appointment with us, we're just going to double dial, triple dial, and keep calling until they say, hey, I'm either not interested or I am interested. And that worked initially because people were not ad fatigued. People were like, oh, okay, hey, I appreciate you following up. Thank you so much. Now, cold DMing, it's people are like, look, how did you get my phone number? Or why are you messaging me this? I'm not interested. And so this is where doing something like actually attracting your own audience, which I'm going to talk to a little bit in a second here, is very important, because you need to have people opt into you as a coach in order for them to be fully bought in for your coaching process and actually see the results that they're looking to achieve through your program. So those are the three things that are not going to be working anymore. So the question becomes, like, if your ad budgets or if your ads are draining your budget, if free seminars are kind of filling your pipeline with unqualified leads, and your cold reach out, it's not getting responses anymore, the question becomes, what is the solution? And I'm going to give you the solution. It is attraction-based marketing. Now, if you've never heard about this before, it's effectively what the 12% inside the ICF do. They focus on pulling in clients through attraction rather than pushing out offers. So it is all about you positioning authority. So this is the first thing. It's authority positioning. This is showing that you are the go-to expert to provide real value. So as an example, when I had my coaching company, and this was Fit for All Fitness, we specialized in helping balance people's hormones naturally using food. It was very specific. It was very niche. It was hormone support. It was for digestive issues. It was for weight loss, but it was balancing it naturally using food. I took a very specific position on nutrition. I took a specific position on hormones. I took a specific positions on what I could help with, and I pushed out everyone else who was not in alignment with me. I did not work with athletes. I did not work with sports professionals. There were certain clients that I wouldn't take on, like postnatal clients or prenatal clients. And I really focused down on the niche of the hormones, with the burnout, with the digestive issues, and other people who had really big hormonal issues like maybe like endometriosis or other stuff. I pushed to naturopathic doctors and I built those relationships. Because I was able to position my authority in that area, and I did so by creating the Hormone Helper podcast, which is still up. I did so by creating my Instagram, which we only talked and showcased hormones and testimonials for those clients. People came searching for that specific solution. I would have referrals and reach outs to me weekly saying, hey, I want to know what's inside your hormone coaching programs. I've been having all these digestive issues and I need your help taking care of them, because the traditional things like nutritionists, naturopaths, all those other ones, they didn't work for me. So I positioned myself in a specific market knowing exactly who I want to be the expert in and what type of value I want to provide, which is providing the value of showing people that they can heal their hormones through nutrition. And you can do the same thing with authority positioning. You can pick your specific niche. You can really dial down into how you're serving people as an online coach and only speak to those things. Now, it doesn't mean that once someone is in your program, you can't talk about habits or talk about lifestyle change or talk about relationships. You totally can. But as a coach, if you want to attract people like you attracting and bringing your tribe in, there has to be something that shows that you are an expert and authority in one area. You need to be the go-to person for one specific thing. So if we're talking about all these things all the time, you no longer become the go-to person because they're like, well, what do I go to this person for? Like, I feel like they're all over the place with their messaging. And speaking of messaging, this is where attraction-based marketing really shines. It's about creating client converting content. When it comes to creating content, don't just share the frickin' how or the action steps or share the tools like a meal plan or here's how to do this exercise. People can just chat GPT that now. They can search stuff up on Google, on YouTube. There are hundreds of people who have videos on that stuff. This is about speaking to your audience's specific struggles and desires. You really need to showcase what I would call the transformation cycle instead of the results cycle. So the results would be like lose 30 pounds, be able to drop 6% body fat, remove bloating, be digestive issue free, be low back pain free. All of that leads and speaks to the result. And so if you just share tips, tools, and actions on how they can do that, there's really no reason to hire you because they're like, hey, look, I'm getting all this information. It's really great. I'm going to keep doing it on my own. I'm going to keep struggling and I'm going to keep failing. So this is where if we speak to then the transformation cycle, this is about talking about how your clients made the investments in themselves. And because of that, they were serious and all in and were finally able to kick their habits and change their life. It's about showcasing the clients who were able to, as an example, I had a client who lost 120 pounds through our hormone coaching program. It wasn't the weight that he cared about. It was him being able to walk at his daughter's wedding because he thought that he was too heavy to be able to do so. That transformation, that mindset, talking about how your clients go through things, how you go through things as a coach, how you invest as a coach, how you operate inside of a coaching sphere. All of these things speak to your audience's specific struggles and desires, so they're focused on working with you because you can take them to the end destination, not working with you because you can provide a specific meal plan or a specific type of workout program. Now, a big part of attraction marketing is you have to value stack for trust. Nurturing relationships over time is the key so that way clients come to you actually ready to buy. You see, the whole thing on social media is people, especially with ads too, they're trying to get someone to buy now. It's always about buy now, buy now, buy now, and then I'll provide the value later. Look, there are hundreds of brands out there, and the only way to be different and unique is for you to be able to provide value first. So this is making sure that you're nurturing the relationships over time, so that way people are like, you know what? This person has sent me an email every single week for the past year, and it's filled with tons of value and things that I've been applying on my own that's been seeing results. You know what? This person, they signed me up for a portal, and the portal had 6 trainings before there was even an offer or something to buy. And those 6 trainings were so valuable, they're more valuable than some of the stuff I've paid $100 for. You see, at the end of the day, people buy and invest with people that they know, like, and trust. So if they don't know you, if they don't trust you because you haven't provided anything that's shown some type of results, then obviously they're not going to value you. And this is where you're going to have long conversion cycles. Like, we have clients who come to us inside of the coach to coach program that are like, Andrew, some people follow me for close to like a year before they reach out. And I'm like, to me, that shows as a coach you're not providing enough value. Because if you were showing up at a high level, providing value every day, from the day they saw you to the time they commit would be like a 2 or 3 month process, not a 6 or 12-month process. And so you could also ask yourself there, like, if I'm going to do attraction-based marketing, how is the quality of my nurture? How is my ability to build a relationship around these people actually affecting their day-to-day, and is it changing their life? Now, when it comes to attraction-based marketing, if you're like, okay, I don't really know like how making client converting content, speaking to the struggle, how the nurture long term, how only sharing the belief in the transformation instead of the tools, like, I don't know how this is going to attract somebody. This is where you've got to think of it like a magnet. Okay, attraction-based marketing is about pulling in high-value clients who resonate with you, not your program. You are not the only coach out there. You are not the only person who can create a meal plan, who can create a nutrition program. You're not the only massage therapist. You're not, insert whatever your topic or title is for coaching. There are a lot of people doing your same thing. And as a matter of fact, they're using the exact same tools that you've been taught. They probably even worked with the same mentors that you've had before. So why should they choose you? Why should they say, hey, I'm going to pick you over the person who also knows the same type of tools and systems that you were taught? So the difference is, do you like the person? You see, I work with people I like. I work with people that I know I'm going to have fun with. I work with people who are like me. And so even when I create content like this for you guys on YouTube, I'm showing up the way that I would show up like I coach with all of my other clients. I'm witty, I'm direct, talk very loud, I'm very boisterous. If I think I know what the definition of boisterous is, but everything that I share, I'm sharing the knowledge that I have learned in my experience through coaching, but I'm also sharing it in my own unique way. No one talks about building a revenue runway. No one talks about building a 100K gateway. And I have a different strategy that people don't do. I do things differently, even though I have access to the same tools and the same systems. And so when someone looks at me, they say to themselves, do I want to work with Andrew Costa as a human being? Can I picture him as a coach? If I'm struggling on a day, would I have a hesitation to message him, or would I be able to message him instantaneously? If I failed at doing something and we hopped on a call, would I feel comfortable sharing to say, hey, look, I dropped the ball, and get excited to then get back on track? In working with Andrew, would I be able to, every time I had a goal or had something successful, would I be able to share it with him and celebrate with him, because I want him to be a part of the journey and be a part of my building of business? If the answer is yes to all of that, then they are attracted to me as a person. Then they have basically fallen in love with my message and who I am, and that's why they want to work with me. Everything else, can I deliver them results? Can I upgrade their business? Can I be able to build reoccurring revenue inside their business? All of that becomes a yes, but only after it's like, can I see myself working with the person? So you really do have to make sure that like you're building that in, okay? Now, if you do attraction-based marketing correctly, and if you take the time and you're intentional with all of the posts, with all of your clients, with all of your client stories, and with all of the information that you're sharing to your audience, then there's a couple of benefits. Attraction-based marketing builds long-term trust. It's going to be able to establish what we call a movement or a community inside of your following. And this is the difference between followers who buy and followers who just look. There are large people who have large people. There are people who have large followings, like 100K, 120K, 65,000 followers, but those people are not buyers. They're not buyers. There's no trust there. They're just looking at their stuff. Half the time they're not paying attention. And so they have a big number, but there's not really a movement there because those people are not bought into the person. But if you do attraction-based marketing right, it builds long-term trust, and these people become your innate crew. They start to recommend people. They start to show up on your lives. They start engaging all the time. You start having more comments. You start having more investments into your program because they buy from people that they trust. So it positions you as the expert that they actually feel connected to, and more trust equals higher value clients. And then the second thing, if you're doing it right, is it brings you the right type of clients. So unlike paid ads and free seminars are speaking to someone in the moment who is actually feeling a form of lack. Like when you hit an ad and you see an ad, it's normally because you feel like you don't have that thing in the moment. This person has something that I don't have. And so ads and free webinars are attracting people who are coming from lack, versus building an attraction-based marketing are attracting people who are excited to work with you. So the energy becomes completely different. And so what happens is the attraction-based marketing actually pre-qualifies clients by showing them what you stand for and how you can solve their problems through your process. Now, another great benefit of attraction-based marketing is it is sustainable and it's low risk. Like you're not relying on algorithms or ad spend that could change overnight. You're building and keeping a movement, and because you're nurturing people, let's say if your platform goes dead, they're going to say, oh, well, what happened to Andrew? Is he on here now? Did something happen to his account? And this is where people start to go looking for you instead of you hunting for them. So by creating valuable content and by creating authentic connections with your brand, your marketing becomes something that we call evergreen. It's always running, and it starts to compound over time. And the biggest thing I think about attraction-based marketing is when it comes to your client's behavior, it actually aligns with what the clients want. So many people nowadays, especially on social media is not social media anymore. It's why the entire coaching industry is changing. It is interest media. People are there because they're interested in things, and so they want to find people who share the same interests so they can say, you finally get me. So this is about creating value before investment. It's about creating content that solves problems. It's about creating authenticity where coaches feel relatable instead of being super pushy. And that doesn't mean that you can't have call to actions. Yes, you want to invite people to join your programs, but you're not like, join this thing for $99, boom, and it's copy and paste. It's about the transformation over the transactions, and it's about the long-term relationship. So marketing actually aligns with this new buying behavior that's coming into 2025. So at the end of the day, like, it's really important, like, you as a coach, you are an expert problem solver. Okay, you know the problem that you solve and you know how to be able to communicate it. So at the end of the day, if you position yourself as the expert, if you get over your feelings of like the imposter syndrome, like, oh, I don't know if I should be talking about this, and you just own up to who you are and you focus on adding value to people's lives, you will forever continue to attract like-minded people, and you won't have to worry about things like ads or free webinars. Because the name of the game now in 2025 is conversations. You need to be creating conversations. You need to start a dialogue between you and the potential person working with you. But the key is how you do that. It's got to be aligned with your core values. If you're someone who says, I only work with people who are ready, then you got to only work to attract ready people. If your values are, I only work with people who are willing to take that first step and invest in themselves and make that decision, I don't want to be pushing people, well, then you have to market in a way that aligns with the core values. And then with the more value you add, the more chances that you have to create more impactful conversations. So you've got to show up as a leader, the leader that I know you can be in these conversations, which means no holding back. I don't want you holding back anymore. Be a stand for others and don't make it about you. Creating conversations is your job. It's actually not coaching. And this is the crazy part. Some coaches have this like back and forth. Oh, I'm afraid to market. I'm afraid to post. I'm afraid to show myself. I hesitate on putting the offer because I don't want to feel like I'm selling. We're not selling anymore. You actually should never have been selling in the first place. That was dead in 2019. You should be creating a conversation and a dialogue. Show people what it's like to be in your room, in your space, and only then can people be fired up and excited to be able to work with you. Now, an important thing with this is credibility. You do have to have, as a coach, credibility. And this is where you have to be willing to share some social proof and continuously grow your credibility, because people want to do business with people that have walked the walk. You have to bring something of high value to take to the table. So this is where it's really key to show your client testimonials, for you to share the speaking engagements that you've done, the retreats that you've done, any place where you have a track record of success, even if it's in your own life. Because the days of being a general life coach are over. You have to show people that you can specifically help them with that individual thing. Now, through this process of attraction-based marketing, you're probably asking yourself, like, how do I implement this? How do I start attraction-based marketing today? So I actually want to do a little bit of a bonus and share with you some actionable steps that you can take to pivot to attraction-based marketing in 2025. Okay, if you like that, drop a comment that you like it, because I always like giving a little bit extra tips here. So the first thing that we're going to dive into these tips is I want you to start creating value-driven content. This is content focusing on the education, the inspiring, that addresses your ideal client pain points. So don't focus on here's how to do this. Educate them that someone can start from there, but someone can go to an end destination. Walk through the step-by-step journey of your client starting to your client transformed, the thoughts they were thinking, the emotions they were feeling, the way that they were inspired and called to join your program, and then make sure you connect your client's pain points. And you can do this in a couple of different ways. You can do it in YouTube videos like I do here if you like long form. You could do it in podcasts if you're someone who likes to talk, which I also like to talk. You can do it in the form of social media posts like Reels, but most importantly, you can do it in case studies and you can do it in frameworks. So you want to start to make sure that you're using examples of real people or of your own experience. Now, the next thing is you got to be positioning yourself as the authority, and you got to share a unique method. So my example is the 100K gateway. I was tired of going from coach to coach as I was building my health coaching business, and they were all telling me the same thing. They were all saying, hey, Andrew, we're going to insert a done-for-you system in here. You're going to run these 6-week challenge ads, and then you're going to then make them fill out an application. You're going to have a set close script for your 30-minute calls, and you're just going to keep doing these people, and maybe you'll make about 40 or 50 bucks on the back end. And I was like, this doesn't make sense to me. I actually don't feel in alignment with any of this. And so I was feeling really hesitant and really reserved. So as I learned, as people were kind of doing these copy and paste things and they were trying to mimic each other, I was like, no, I want to be different. And this is why I developed my 100K gateway, where I said to myself, how can I focus on attraction-based marketing? How can I do things that I love, like speaking and engagements, give people knowledge and value using the live trainings, and connect to them on a personal level so they're reaching out to me instead of me reaching out to them. And so this is where, if you share your unique method inside of your content, this is where people are like, that's different, that's unique, and I've never heard that before. 100K gateway, my recurring revenue runway, all of these things are things that I developed for our clients, and it's not a copy and paste and done for you system. It looks different for every single client in their business because no two businesses work the same way. So I can't just say, hey, look, I'm different, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's copy and paste to everybody. Now, the important thing with this, you got to show that you offer a transformation, not just generic coaching. Now, final piece of this, you got to focus on relationships over your leads. This is about engaging authentically with your audience. So the way that you do this is you have to step up as the next level of a coach. You need to start responding to DMs. You need to start engaging with content so that way you can create conversations. Even if it's something as simple as, hey, thanks so much for liking the post. What inspired you to drop this message? Something really simple is a great way to start a conversation, because oftentimes your best client is maybe hesitating to reach out to you because they've never spoken to you before, and they're just waiting for the introduction or the opportunity for you to have a conversation. And then as you start talking the conversation, if the conversation goes to somewhere where you believe, hey, this person could benefit from coaching, this is where you might even be inspired to ask them, like, hey, mind if I just shoot you a message in the DMs? And then it becomes a warm conversation instead of some cold conversation and people are like, what the hell? Okay. And then bottom line, you got to start nurturing your leads. This is about having a nurturing system. So you should be having an email sequence. You should be making sure that you're regularly promoting offers, that you have an offer list, because guess what? There are people who do like to buy regularly and want to hear the offer. And also even have something like a YouTube channel or a long form blog in which you can develop value every single time. At the end of the day, big thing as I wrap up this episode, it's about leading with originality and differentiation. You can't have generic stuff anymore going into 2025. You've got to show your unique method of coaching, because originality is your magnet. It's going to be the thing that's going to make it scalable. You're going to find going into 2025 that Instagram, Facebook, the algorithms are going to stop pushing and promoting people just because they're making copy and paste stuff. They're actually going to start directing to people who are unique, who are different, and who are special. So if you do that, your evergreen content, it's going to continue to compound and build over time. So that's all for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm curious, to all of you going into 2025, what are the trends that you are seeing throughout the health coaching industry? Where do you believe that online coaching is going? What do you think is going to happen to lead quality? I'm curious as to what you guys think. Make sure that you share a couple of things in the comments. Would love to hear from you. And again, we can start a great dialogue, because while I like to do some information as well, or do some research on information as well, there are a lot of things that maybe I see from a specific lens. So maybe you might be listening to this episode going, actually, Andrew, I see this going a completely different way, and I would love to hear it either way. And then also, this is the week before Christmas, so I'm dropping this just before a couple days before Christmas. So you guys have a fantastic holiday celebration, regardless of how you guys celebrate. Love you all lots. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Coach to Coach. Coach Andrew out, and we will see you on the next one. Bye.